Have you ever stopped to think that you might have been deceived today and didn't even realize it? Or worse, that you may have lied to yourself without wanting to admit it? Lying is not an isolated accident. It is a force that crosses cultures, shapes relationships, corrodes institutions, and hides in the details of our daily lives. Every human being lies. In small, casual phrases or in elaborate webs of deceit, we carry this ability as an invisible part of our nature. And the most frightening part, many times we lie without even noticing. What leads us to hide the truth? What turns us into architects of distorted realities? What if lying weren't just a moral failing, but an instinctive necessity engraved in our very survival code? From ancient myths, with their trickster gods, to modern social media, the language of the liar reveals deep fears, unconfessable desires, and conflicts that few dare to face. Ignoring this is like walking in the dark, hoping that the light comes from outside. But those who learn to see the hidden gears of lies, in others and in themselves, awaken to a new way of seeing the world. Lying has manifested as an almost mythical ability. No culture has remained untouched by this art of distorting reality. The oldest myths already portrayed characters who lived by cunning and deceit. The trickster, present in traditions as distinct as those of Native American, Norse, and African peoples, is the figure that illustrates this ambiguous facet of existence. At times creator, at times destroyer, at times hero, at times villain. Loki, in Norse mythology, masterfully embodies this archetype. Cunning, versatile, manipulative. He doesn't lie just for personal gain. His trickery is almost a force of nature, defying the established order. On the other side of the world, we find Anansi, the spider trickster from African cultures, who uses intelligence and eloquence to overcome challenges that brute strength could never defeat. These characters didn't emerge by chance. They reflect an uncomfortable truth. The ability to deceive is an inseparable part of human survival. In ancient times, knowing when to withhold information or distort perceptions could mean the difference between life and death. Lying, then, was not just an ethical deviation, it was a tool for adaptation. Even in great historical epics, such as Homer's Iliad, lying appears as a strategy of war, where honor and betrayal are intertwined. The Trojan horse, one of the greatest symbols of human cunning, was a lie in the form of a gift. These examples show us that lying is not an isolated flaw of character, but a deep component of the human experience. Ignoring it is ignoring an essential part of who we are. Perhaps that's why, even today, we are still fascinated and terrified by it. Lying is never an isolated act. Behind every distortion of the truth, there is a specific motivation, a need that, most of the time, the liar himself may not be able to see. We don't lie just to deceive others. Often, we lie to protect ourselves. In dangerous situations, lying can be an instinctive response of self. A child who lies to avoid punishment has learned early on that the truth sometimes carries to higher cost. This reaction extends into adult life, omitting mistakes at work, hiding feelings in a relationship, manipulating small narratives to avoid judgment. All of this is, above all, a mechanism of social survival. But lies are also used for gain, to achieve status, approval, financial advantages. And in this game, the line between cleverness and corruption becomes dangerously thin. Society often rewards the ability to play with the truth, creating environments where being honest seems naive. Curiously, not all lies stem from selfishness. Some arise from empathy. who has never softened a truth to spare someone suffering. Sometimes, lying seems like an act of love, although deep down, it is also a way of controlling the other's pain, and, by extension, our own. In more extreme cases, lying becomes pathological. There are those who lie without apparent reason, compulsively. In these cases, lying is no longer a tool, but a prison. The individual loses the ability to distinguish what is real, even for themselves. Looking at these motivations is to realize that lying is not just morally condemnable or justifiable. It is, above all, a mirror that reveals what we are trying to protect, achieve, or hide from ourselves and from others. Lying is not just an individual choice. It is a force capable of corroding entire structures. On a personal level, lying erodes trust, the invisible cement that holds relationships together. A small betrayal, a strategic omission, a poorly kept secret. All of this, little by little, creates deep cracks between people who once fully trusted each other. And if a single lie can shake a relationship, imagine the multiplied effect in communities, organizations, and governments. Political scandals, corporate fraud, media manipulation. These are examples of how institutionalized lying destroys what should uphold life in society: credibility. When institutions lie, the impact is devastating. It's not just about financial losses or damaged reputations. It's about the breakdown of the social pact. If justice is not trustworthy, if the press manipulates, if leaders lie blatantly, what is left to the individual but cynicism and apathy? Systemic lying creates an environment where the truth is no longer sought and distrust becomes the norm. This phenomenon is not new. From corruption in the Roman Empire to manipulations by modern corporations, history bears witness to how lying, when widespread, implodes civilizations from within. No social structure can withstand the long term when the truth is constantly sacrificed. That's why understanding the impact of lies, big and small, is more than an ethical issue. It's a matter of collective survival. Ignoring this dynamic is accepting to live in ruins without realizing that the collapse has already begun. In the digital world, lying has found fertile ground to grow at an unprecedented scale and speed. If once a lie had to travel by word of mouth, today it spreads instantly, crossing continents in seconds. Social media, algorithms, and information bubbles have created an ecosystem where truth often competes at a disadvantage. Fake news is a clear example of this. Created with an appearance of truth, it manipulates emotions, reinforces prejudices, and shapes opinions without the individual realizing it. This is not just harmless misinformation. These digital lies have the power to influence elections, cause panic, and divide entire communities. The online environment favors lying because, in it, reach is more important than accuracy. The logic of clicks, likes, and shares rewards what is shocking, provocative, emotional, even if it's false. And since many people get their information only from what appears on their timelines, the lie becomes solidified before the truth even gets a chance to be heard. Worse still, manipulation is no longer just the work of ill-intentioned individuals. Platforms, companies, and governments use data and behavioral psychology to steer narratives, reinforcing belief bubbles that isolate people from opposing viewpoints. In this new scenario, the responsibility to seek the truth falls even more on the individual. It's not enough to consume information. One must doubt, investigate, deconstruct, because if we're not vigilant, we will live surrounded by fabricated versions of reality, unable to discern what truly matters.